Hello guys, my name is NaToSaphiX and today we have another video, and this time it is another episode of the FACEIT cheat code, the video series where I explain to you what is the most common mistake in FACEIT, how do we fix it, and why do people make that mistake. So basically I'm just giving you a sort of handbook on how you will win more Mirage games, because if you can manage to fix these mistakes in you and your squad, or even just in you personally, you will become a much better player and you will be not making the mistakes that everyone else is, which will set you apart from the rest. So I think this is worth, especially this video, is worth watching for basically any skill level, because it's true for the lowest level, it's true for the highest level even. And that's kind of specific about this episode of Mirage. So what's the first thing I want to say is that I still have corona and I'm feeling it a little bit harder than the other days. I apologize again if I'm sneezing, coughing, or anything like that. There might be a little bit of sniffling as well. I can't do anything about it. The only other opportunity is that I don't put out content, and I would prefer not to do that. So just bear with me. I hope you can. The second thing is, this is a little bit of a unique episode. We are the third episode in. And what I see is that so far we only really focused on things that will help us on the CT side. Here we are going to be starting and we're going to be talking a ton about the CT side, but we're actually going to be fixing mistakes that are being made on the T side. This is not something you can necessarily fix by yourself. It's probably something you can fix in yourself and then hope that your teammates will be able to do the same. But it is difficult, and if you have a five-man team that you play with regularly, this video will help you a lot. Basically, no matter the skill level, even if you're probably playing, I would say, easy, advanced, or something like that, I bet you there's still teams making this mistake. So Mirage is like my city, my home ground. I really have a good understanding of this map, and I want to teach you one of the things that I hold the most dear. So I'm gonna start out by a story. In 2014, I played against a team called EFRAG, Bulgarian team. I believe at the time it was like Spy Leader, NKL, Bubble, Victor, Dreamer. And my team, I thought, was quite good. We were just a team of friends, but we, for example, had Magis, who most of you know now. He plays for Vitality, together with Suvo, for example, and Dupree, and he was on the famous Astralis team that had the Unstoppable era. So we did have some talented players for sure, and we were pretty decent. But I remember we played Mirage against EFRAG, who weren't even one of the best teams in the world, but they were quite good. Kind of the gatekeeper to the top at the time. And I remember what we were talking about was that after the game when we got destroyed, one of my teammates, Rezex, he said, did you guys notice how good they were at pressuring the whole map at the same time? We had no room to breathe, and when we would get contact on someone on A, then there would also be a guy contacting out on B, and they would be putting pressure on mid. And we never had time to set up clear comms, setups. The mid guys were maybe focused on mid, while the side guys were focused on the sides, and we were just completely split. We never had time to flash for each other. We never had time to do anything, and it was really difficult. We obviously all got a ton better since then, but it still rings true that if you manage to do this on your T side, on especially Mirage, you really up your win chances a lot. I'm going to show you why. We just go through the common CT positions. So you have a B player. He's pretty committed to B. He will very rarely leave it, especially in FACEIT. Then you have a short player. And the short player, he will kind of move towards short. But if he gets here, that's probably when the info comes that there's nothing mid. And then he will start tracking back. This is really important, by the way. Make a note of this. So he will start coming back to B. Then you have an AWP player. We'll save him for last. You have an A player who is either playing close on A, committed to the side, or he's playing jumping CT for info. Something like that, most likely. So he's playing committed to the A side and not really able to help mid. Then you have a connector player, and he's, funnily enough, playing connector. He's kind of like the star player role of the team most of the time. The reason being that mid is heavily contested and A is heavily contested, and he's in between the two, so he can help both. But what you can see is already the problem with the connector guy is that if he wants to fight mid, A is vulnerable. And if he wants to help A, mid is vulnerable, right? So that's kind of the most important thing. Your AWP player is going to be playing here in window, and I have quite a bit of experience. As I said, Mirage, one of my favorite maps. I played AWP also, if you don't know who I am, by the way. I played in Heroic. I won a tournament with Mouse Sports, CS Summit, for example, as a stand-in playing AWP. So I have quite a bit of experience playing the AWP around the window area. And me as an AWP, I will kind of on a default round start either in window or in connector. And both of those are to get top mid info. So what's going to happen is I'm going to sit here, and if I feel like mid is being pressured, I'll probably try to help mid. And if there's no pressure mid, there's no reason for me to sit and hold mid. Sometimes I will do it, but in FACEIT, people rarely use mid late, so you can a lot of the time just leave it. When I rotate, I have kind of 3 avenues. So I can go jungle. This is the same if I'm playing in con. I can also kind of go jungle. I can also run back to CT, so I'm helping A. Or I can run back to B and help B. So 2 of my 3 avenues are towards A. And if I am in one of these places, if I am jungle, it's impossible to get out of A house. And if I'm CT, it's almost impossible to get out slope. And if I'm B, good luck rushing B when we most likely are 3 here and I'm holding with all, you know? So that is kind of the main concern and what people really often mess up. If you don't do any top mid smoke or any window smoke, there is no reason for the AWP to not rotate, basically. You want to give this CT player a reason to stay. A lot of the time, I see in FACEIT that people, for example, go just B contact, 5-man. And if you don't go immediately, like after the first 10 seconds or something, as soon as you're over here in position, if you don't go immediately, the AWP will be here in time. So it's all about timing. And that's why what you could do, just something really small, is just, for example, smoking top mid, running out, Molotov in connector, and throwing a flash. Something as simple as that. Now the AWP has mid pressure. He's thinking, oh my god, they smoked top mid, they molotov con, they flashed. Now maybe he goes left side window, holding here, holding the smoke here. There's many things. Now at least you made it so he does not have info. He cannot call mid is clear because he doesn't know. And also, all the signifiers are that mid isn't clear because there's a guy who's throwing a ton of utility here. Just this alone will make the AWP stay in mid most of the time. At least if you don't make it too obvious of a fake. And you could even play with a mid lurk who, for example, if someone smoked top mid for him, he could jump out boxes, he could, smoke window. There's a million things, maybe a little bit better than that, but there's a million things you can do. The point of what I'm trying to say is that the setup, if you don't put pressure mid, will look like this. The short player is coming out short. They're not out mid. Okay, he asks to himself, why are they not out mid? Well, if they're not using mid, they have to use the sides, right? So he goes back now to B. That means if you go B now, there's at least 2 B. And the AWP player, he says, they're not out mid. Okay, I'm gonna leave mid. Then he's deciding, do I want to go A or want to go B? That's on feeling. I think a lot of the time I go B. So let's say he goes B. That means if you're going B, you're now going against 3 guys on B. And the space is in mid because they cleared mid. They say you're not here, and most people in FACEIT don't use mid late. But this is where the space is. That's also really important. What does the connector guy do? He comes out. Okay, mid is clear. Maybe he checks underground. Don't see anyone underground. It's gonna be the sides. Since he's closest to A, he will now go and he will use like his utility on A house maybe. And be ready with flashes for the guy who's playing close, or if he's just playing CT. Maybe he will even smoke A house. He will at least start using his nades on the sides because he knows he does not need to block mid because there's no presence here. He only needs to block the sides, basically. And so you see kind of the problem, right? If you don't use mid at the start of the round whatsoever, you are gonna be against at least 2 guys on B and at least 2 guys on A. And if the AWP picks the right side, which is literally if it was a monkey, a brain-dead monkey wearing glasses, he would have a 50-50 shot at predicting where you are gonna go next. So you are playing at least 2 guys, and half of the time 3 guys, right? If the AWP is here, there's no way you're getting out A house. It's almost impossible. And if you try to go out slope, but the AWP rotated CT, it's almost impossible for you to come out slope. So on Mirage, as a T, what you want to recognize is there are basically 2 things you can play. You can play mid or you can play the sides. It's pretty much like any other map, but on Mirage it's just so important because the rotations are so fast for the CTs. So you want to recognize where is the space. Now let's say you are doing instant window smokes every single round, right? And you're like putting heavy pressure mid. You have like 3 guys running out in mid and you're fighting. Now you see that the CTs are starting to like smoke bottom con, flash a lot over con, flashing a guy out con. You have the guy with AWP, he's like doing the window molo to try to destroy your window smoke, stuff like that. What does this tell you? It tells you that the CTs are now playing heavy mid. Okay? So when they play heavy mid, where is the space? The space is on the sides. So if you condition them, and if you put a lot of pressure mid, if you do window smoke, if you do flashes mid, if you do monocon, those nades make it so that the CTs have a much harder time at getting info. Okay? So if they start fighting heavy mid, now the space is on the sides, meaning you can put fake pressure mid, and now you're playing against 1 guy on A and 1 guy on B. Much more beneficial to your T side. But the only way you will open up the sides is by someone putting pressure mid. And that's why I brought up this E-frag story, basically. And this is the most common mistake on Mirage. People need to realize that you have to put pressure everywhere at the same time on Mirage. It cannot be, I see it so often, if you ever come to my stream you will see it when I play Mirage. If I'm trying to make a play on mid, I will maybe have like smoked window, I'm like running close con, dodging flashes a little bit, I'm starting to like jiggle peek here, I'm maybe doing molo up top left and stuff, and I'm putting so much pressure, making so much noise. Then there is like an AWP standing here top ticket, because my A guys, they are not putting any pressure. They're not flashing over, they're not searching up, they're not smoking CT, they're not doing anything. Which leads to maybe a top ticket guy holding me, and a guy being close jungle, and a guy playing close A. So now I'm like fighting at least 2 guys alone. And what I'm doing is creating space for my teammates that they're not taking, basically. So if you see on your T sides your teammate trying to make a play, or if you know he's using a lot of nades, that's the timing where you have to hit, basically. So if your team is doing heavy mid pressure and you're in A house, you can like wait until they maybe get a fight, if they get a kill or if they die, and then at that moment start walking out, trying to find the guy who's alone A. If you kill him, you want to run and take the space, you know. And now you correctly apply the concept that I'm telling you about. It's basically like a tug of war in Mirage. And it's like, if you put pressure mid, the CTs are probably gonna play heavy mid. But a lot of the times I see teams not even smoking top mid. And what will just happen every time is the CTs clear mid. After 5 seconds they know they're not coming mid. Then they start using all the utility on A and B, and you just can't go. Then it's super obvious, you're standing behind the utility and waiting, and your whole round is screwed. The only thing you can do is go back mid. And, I mean, you could, but you're allowing them to be in very unpredictable positions. If you go back mid late, it could be top boxes. They could be, you know, on top of the sign here. They could be, like, in some sort of setup like this. So, what I'm basically, the essence of what I'm trying to explain to you is just that you as a T, you need to recognize, is the space on the sides or in mid? And then you need to go opposite that. And if you are lurking somewhere, if you are A, for example, and your teammates are fighting so heavy mid, that's your time to go out and make something happen on A. Because going out A house, if there's no presence mid, is impossible. The AWP will hold you, or the con guy will be stairs, and there's almost no way you're getting out here. But if your teammates are fighting heavy mid, the con guy has focus mid, the AWPer has focused mid, and so you have only one guy to duel. And if you kill this guy, you have the whole A side, basically. Another really common mistake on Mirage that I also really want to talk about, but the video is already getting pretty long, is how to use mid. Because I will tell you kind of the issue real quick. It could be time for another video. On Mirage, there are kind of two glaring mistakes. There is the one where you don't understand how to pressure the map. And the other mistake is when people go out mid, they don't understand how to go out mid. So for me, a lot of the time when I'm CT, I don't even fight mid that heavy because people don't know how to use it. Basically, you going out mid and doing window smoke like this, it doesn't really create much. If you're sitting here thinking this creates a whole lot of pressure, it gives you a lot of opportunity. I mean, it does give you some opportunity, but this smoke alone is not enough. And honestly, it's like a topic that probably takes another 10 minutes, so I'll save it for another video. I would really like it if you guys could comment down below and let me know if this is a video that you would like for me to make. But not only that, I could even make another video where we do a Mirage demo review and I will show you a pro team pressuring the map at the same time. I can talk a little bit about the CT rotations, like what's making the AWP rotate here, what are the Ts doing right, what are they doing wrong, all those kind of things, because I recognize also that especially this mistake is very difficult to fix. It's almost like a game sense thing. So on DOS 2, it was like how to use your nades perfectly and long. And it's like it could be a 5-10 minute video, right? And after you've watched that, you should kind of be well equipped to do this for the rest of eternity. On Mirage, it's a different story. Like, this is a game sense thing. It's a mindset thing. It's something you have to do, and you have to play off of teammates. It's way more difficult. So I could definitely go more in depth with a demo review of sorts. And if that's something that you guys would like to see, then let me know. It is very difficult, and I'm not expecting you guys to go into your next match and be doing this perfectly. But I just want you to recognize that this is how Mirage should be played as T. What you want to be doing is you want to pressure either the mid or the sides, and you want to recognize the space. So if you make them play heavy mid, or if you realize the CTs are playing heavy mid, that's where you want to hit the sides. I will here at the end give you one key round, which is very easy to call even in FACEIT, and it's so insanely strong, especially in FACEIT, but even in pro matches. I call it evangel because I took it from evangel, or my team Sprout took it from evangel many years ago. The idea is basically that you have an instant window smoke, or you have a top mid smoke, so you have some kind of mid presence. Then you have one guy who didn't smoke mid. He goes out and he can, molocon. Maybe he can even throw a flash and bounce a flash like that. So he's pressuring mid. Preferably, if there's instant window smoke, he jumps out behind boxes. He can also do this with top mid smoke if he makes sure to flash con before. But he wants to land out here. And then if there's top mid smoke, he can smoke window. If there's not top mid smoke, he can maybe smoke top con. Then his job behind the top mid boxes is to recognize, are the CTs playing heavy mid or heavy sides. The round looks like this, okay, and it's really strong. If the CTs are smoking bottom con, flashing out, making smoke out short, doing one-way smoke window, or they did the window molar and fucked up your window smoke and stuff like that. If these things are happening, it's safe to say they are playing heavy mid. Otherwise, they would not expend this much utility. Then this guy, he is, no matter who it is on the team, he is the team's caller in this round. He just says heavy mid. That means, okay, there's space on the sides. With this, you have two guys slope ready to contact, and you have two guys A house ready to contact. So if there is heavy mid and there's only one guy on A, so if the call has been made correctly, now you have four guys walking out and dueling a lone rifle on A. And it basically doesn't matter where he plays, he's gonna die. So with this, you take over A, and the guys are stuck on the kind of wrong side of A. They are out of the side, and you can use more utility to keep them out of it. If they don't play heavy mid, this guy again kind of becomes the caller. He says they're not fighting mid. That means probably they maybe didn't blow the vent and the AWP is starting ticket, or they're making an aggressive play on A or something. This is the keyword for the guys on the sides to chill, because if the CTs play aggressive, then they are holding them. And if they're not playing aggressive, it still means that if they're not playing heavy mid, the mid guy now has space. So if you recognize they're not playing heavy mid, they're not using a utility, you can walk down connector. If you smoke top con for yourself, you can try to take over connector by yourself and see if you can get into like a good position. And then when you feel like you cannot move any further, sometimes that is just here. Now you call for your teammates to make the next move. You don't call for them to do like contact. You call for them to, for example, do up and down smokes. So up and down smokes is like stair smoke, and it's the bench smoke. So now you are in perfect position to lurk, and your team is doing the pressure. So the pressure is now on A, meaning that you are keeping the A guys on A, making the mid lurk be able to take timing. He can walk up. When you're really close, you can say, start flashing or something. Then you start walking jungle. Maybe even can walk through the bench smoke if you still don't see anyone. It's just a really good round where you have the avenue of going mid and the avenue of going A. And the CTs will be having focus on either mid or the sides, just like I told you. And if the guy in mid is giving good info and knows how to play his role, you will probably win this round 9 out of 10. Because you're simply abusing the fact that the CTs have to decide to commit somewhere. They have to stack something. And yeah, that's basically it. I have one more thing to say. It's going to be very quick. If you haven't already, and you are a avid FACEIT player or a guy who wants to make it pro, you should 100% learn the 9 window smokes from spawn. They're not all super useful, and a lot of videos just go like gloss over it, just show all the smokes but don't explain how. I have made a video where I've shown the 9 smokes, how to throw them, and I've also kind of said how good they are. Like some of them are good, some of them are bad. I really encourage you to go and watch that video if you want to get better at playing Mirage. And yeah, I think that's about it. I'm going to leave a link to that video in the description. I'm going to thank you so much for watching, guys. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget to leave a like and a comment and subscribe if you haven't already. My name is NaToSaphiX, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you, guys.